Welcome back to a live. Y'all, every single time I do this, I feel like I'm clicking around looking for where to click. Oh my gosh. Okay. Welcome back to our Sundays uh chat and craft. I am sitting down at my table and I'm Dana, and this is for Freedom Police Channel and essenceofme.com. And I'm a little bit flustered, but we're gonna get this party rolling. Let me know in the chat what you are working on, how your week went, and we're going to get into it, y'all. My desk is an absolute mess because I literally threw everything that I could possibly do right now on top, and it's all good. But I'm going to start off with giving an update on how everything went this week with my personal curriculum. I'm finding that the thing that is sticking more than anything is my watercolor class. So I'm so glad that I'm taking the class. So let me show you what I worked on this week. And then we're going to get to work because I did not get to work on my Kawandi at all this week. And I only have a little bit more to do. And I think I'll be able to finish it here. So let me show you what we did this week in class. Y'all, it doesn't fully 100% look like what the woman was teaching, but we're going to just rock with it. So this is my first picture. Okay, I think that's about as bright as we're going to get. This is my second painting. Well, my first painting, my second painting. I found that although leaves might feel like they should be easy, they are becoming my nemesis. But you know what? I ain't bothered by it. I'm going to just keep on pushing. I also did... I did one more. Oh. Let me get it. I set up my little travel bag. I have a little travel art bag. Hey girl, hey, how's your week? And I set up, I have this sketchbook that I've had for a long time, and I started like doing some sketching because I can move around and not have to take other supplies with me. And one of the things that I did, let me change this angle. I'm sorry. Here we go. One of the things that I did is I've just started like doing some sketching. I found that I like it better when I have sketching and I'm not just trying to put down watercolor. I think it's asking me to think about too much at the same time. So I did the sketchbook. I already had it. And I sort of wrote some rules out for myself. And then I found this amazing woman. Her name is Ronnie something. And she did this really simple video where she was talking about how everything is 5 basic shapes so that you could just start learning to draw simply. And I've been in classes before, like years ago, where they sort of talked about that, but she put it so simply that I was like, okay, I can do this. Like I can think about some simple things that I want to work on or learn how to draw. And I don't want to draw like everything. I'm not trying to do like deep portraits or anything like that. I just want items that I know how to sketch that I can add to my planner, to my journal, to my sketchbook, that I can put in my, you get what I'm saying, like very simply. So I thought what she was talking about was dead on. And she had a YouTube video that I just went through and sort of followed her along with her. And look at my little houses. I think they turned out good. And so another thing that I did, and so she released a little mini course, her first mini version of her course and she calls it a mini. I think she calls it a mini course or something like that. And I bought it. It was affordable and it was really a great brush up. So I did this week. This is the version of her course. And I sort of started like this. Yeah, this needs some help, but we were not doing any in-depth drawing. But I used to love to sketch people when I was younger. And I realized like, okay, maybe I'm brushing off that skill. So I sort of just wrote out the steps. Like I remember when it came to the face proportions and things like that. Then what I did is I set up pages on in this sketchbook to practice certain things like eyes, nose, the mouth, and I started doing some different variations. And for the class that she had, her mini class, it was sort of to do a character, like a cute form of people. And I did one of my husband. Listen, y'all, it doesn't really look like him. But it's a start. And so I did that. And then I went through, since I set up the sketchbook, I went through and wrote and created some prompts for myself. And what I'm going to do is for each one of these prompts, I'm going to dedicate an entire page in this journal, in the sketchbook until I fill it up. And so that's going to be the plan. And this is to go with the watercolor. I found that this sketchbook doesn't take watercolor well, so that's why it was another great book for me to do this with. The pages do okay, but they get really crinkly and really buckly. So I'm thinking that once I do the sketches and once I get good enough to put down ink, that I could use my watercolor pencils instead of my regular watercolors. And yeah, so I'm excited about that. So that's the sketchbook. And so I'm sort of keeping that in my little bag and sort of carrying it around whenever I leave, like when I'm doing other stuff, like on my lunch break or we're watching a show. The last thing that I did for my watercolor is I started working on this piece again. This was from Ronnie had a video where she was doing these cute teddy bears or cute bears. I don't think that's what it's called, but they were on there. And what I did is she did 3 different versions and she was doing them small to make them into potentially thank you cards or greeting cards. And what I did is just followed along and I decided I would do a family of bears. And this, I'm not done. I'm doing it in layers and I just have to do it as I have time. But this one is going to be the dad, and the mom, and then the baby bear. And I get really close. Oh, you can't see. I have the pencil markings, right? Oh, you can see it in here with her little paws. I'm going to go back and do my line work. These are their cheeks because I had to tell my husband that those are not their eyes. So I'm going to add the eyes later and the nose. And I maybe even will add another pass of color to hopefully smooth it out. I've been wanting to just practice on stuff like this, to practice on my brush control because I'm still like water to pick, like paint and all of that and getting it on the paper. I also realized when I was working on this that even though the other paper that I'm using, which is called, the company I think is called B Company, that paper takes watercolor different than this paper, which is telling me that the moment you change the paper, even if you're using the same paints, they may behave differently. So I'm going to be working in the sketchbook and then, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm doing this one. I knew I liked this paper when I did swatches in here. I did swatches in this book. And so I liked it. And so I'm planning to just, add more pieces and maybe just keep adding stuff or sketches that are in that sketchbook that I want to add color to and bring them over here. This is a nice size book. I bought this book from the art store when I went to go buy paints and stuff for another class that I had. And it's called A Visual Journal. It was by Strathmore. And I just used this to put on this like while it's like after it's dry, and like right now, and I had stuff on it sort of flatten it out a little bit because it is buckling, not buckling, but bending just a little bit. Let's see, it's a 140-pound paper. It is watercolor paper. It shows that it should take graphite pencil, pen and ink, colored pencil, marker, oil pastel. It says for good, but it says it should take watercolor pencil, that it should be excellent. And watercolor, excellent. And then acrylic and collage, it should take, and it should be good. Oh, that's a pretty dope chart. It has a little chart. So, and I literally worked on this a couple of days, like at the end of the day, when I'd had a long day, and I just turned it on my computer, and I just worked. And so, yeah. I think that was it. I did that this week and finished a book. I was, and now I'm on book 3 in the series that it's called The Demigods of San Francisco. And I was trying to think, I thought I did something in here, but I guess I didn't. I want to sketch a few more sketches in here, and then I'm going to start painting in them. Now, the last thing that I'm going to say is I recorded a studio vlog today, and it's almost edited. I also, and so that should be going up, if not this week, next week. I also did, oh well, and that studio vlog is around how I sort of accumulate ideas over time and work on skill building for projects that I don't know how to do and I haven't found a class or a pattern to do. So that'll be coming up. And I think you guys will like it. Like, I'm working and it's a studio vlog. So there's that. The other thing that I recorded, and that will be going up this week. So that other studio vlog probably won't go up till next week. But the one will be coming up this week is I did an unboxing from Missouri Star. Y'all, I can't wait for y'all to see that. It is, I think it is so good. Y'all could think something else, and I don't have anything to do with what you think per se, but yeah. So what am I working on? I'm ready to get to work. I only have a little bit more to go. I am working on this Kawandi quilt. I literally worked on it probably about another 30 to 40 minutes after we finished last Sunday. I'm drinking coffee. I hope you have your coffee. Okay. I am going to be working on this, and I already have thread. I also brought one more thing that I could work on, which is going through my scraps, is to start pulling out scraps to make fabric tabs. And I'm also starting a new hand project where I want to do a sort of scrappy or slow stitch on this, which is fleece flannel. Y'all always get it mixed up. Whatever this is, I think it's a fleece. I'm going to fill it up with scraps, and this is going to be the inside of a journal, like an inside journal cover. So I need to start laying out some fabric on here, and then I need to baste it so that I can start working on that. And so I have that prepared. I also brought my perforated scissors over so that if I start working on the fabric tabs, I could do that. So we'll see what we have going on, because y'all, I have a heart out because y'all, it is Super Bowl Sunday, even though we're not planning to watch the Super Bowl. But I wonder if I should get a little bit more light. I do want to watch I love watching the halftime show, especially if it's somebody like really good. Like, I still watch the halftime show from Rihanna. I literally watched it like at least once this week, and I think I watched it like 3 times last week. So I love her halftime show that she did, and I think that was probably, what, 2 or 3 years ago? And so yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about, y'all, this is buckling so bad in the middle here, but I don't know what to do about that. So I'm just going to keep going. I want to talk about, there we go. a little bit about what you're going to see in the studio vlog, and let me know what you're working on. If I miss it, I always come back to look and see if there was any comments that I missed, or at least I try to. So let me know what you're working on. Hold on. I want to move because I'm not going to paint. And I sort of have it in my way. And I don't want the thread to get caught on it. So, there we go. I have to give myself a little bit more room on this left-hand side. There we go. Okay, now I'm ready. I want to talk a little bit about, I'm doing you'll see more in the vlog, but I've been thinking about the whole thing of skill building. And I want to talk a little bit about kind of the way I think about that, especially in this space of quilting, or even, I mean, honestly, I think it's with everything. And one of the things that is going to come up in the unboxing is how, just like with my watercolor and taking these classes, that I find that I end up going on these journeys. And the journeys are around something that I want to create, something that I want to make, or a skill that I'd like to have. And sometimes what happens is you find that you would like to do that, but maybe, I mean, maybe you don't know how to do it yet. For me, I'll give an example, which would led to me taking the watercolor class. Was I had started doing Bible journaling years ago. And when I started doing Bible journaling, it sort of made me dust off, if you will, my desire to draw again, because in doing Bible journaling, you find that you're drawing. And I would draw different pieces. Let me, oh, you know what? It's right here. Let me try to grab it. Hold on. You've probably seen it before, but let me just show an example. I found that I was working in this Bible, and I decided that I wanted to do more pieces where I was drawing. And here's one of my favorites, like this. And when I started doing these, I realized that I wanted to do more, so that when I went through the scriptures, that I would have like visual depictions of the stories. This one was super simple, and so it basically made it so that I started having this desire to, number one, oh, I don't wanna, oh, there we go. I tried all kinds of things in here, and I tried stuff that I ended up not really liking, but it made me realize how I wanted to brush off that skill. And I wanted to work on a few things. I wanted to work on my drawing. I wanted to work on my learning watercolor, because in those pictures, I found that those Bible pages took watercolor pretty well. Ouch. Y'all, I'm talking and stitching, and I'm sticking myself. Okay, there we go. And so I found that it took watercolor well. And I actually loved the way that the pages sort of had that crinkly, like that textured feel after having the water on there. I also liked the fact that watercolor is fairly, like, it can be see-through, so you don't sort of totally cover up scripture. And there's a whole lot of, thought around whether you cover the actual scripture when you're doing Bible journaling. I think at the end of the day, it's a personal choice. There's very few people that I know that do Bible journaling or Bible art journaling. Let's say it that way. I'll add the art, that particular Bible is their reading Bible, right? Many people that I've ever been around or when I've gone to classes, they have a separate Bible that they use for their reading, So back to the skills building. And so I realized that I wanted to be able to do that and not hesitate or not, I guess I want to say, I guess not second guess myself, maybe. And it was another one of these sort of journeys that would be one where I wasn't concerned, and I'm not concerned with it having to be, I'm there tomorrow, or even, I don't even think it'll be at the end of this year. Honestly, my timeline that I think where I'll be where I'd really like to be, or at least at the entry point of where I would like to be, will probably take about 3 years. That's what I think. I think it'll take about 3 years. And when I think about quilting, I think that is a very realistic timeline. I don't know. I think I've been quilting. Every time I think about quilting, I think that I've been quilting for just, in my mind, I think, oh, I've been quilting for like a couple of years. I always think that. And it's not until I think about my first projects and where we lived at the time, because we'd moved, that the real time registers. So I've been quilting probably about, oh my gosh. Oh, don't get me to telling a story. I guess I would say over 10 years. I've been quilting over 10 years, and I still feel like a newbie. I still feel like there's stuff to learn. And so with that said, I kind of went on this quest of skill building where I am okay with taking classes, even if that class is only a part of the total vision that I have for what I want to make. And y'all, this is coming along. Oh my gosh. I don't know why it's so lumpy in the middle. I think it's lumpy in the middle for the reason that I said last time, which is when I do this again, I'm going to cut the batting a little bit shorter than the quilt. But I think having it be a little bit lumpy, if you will, is going to make it feel good in your hands. So anyways, so what I did is started thinking about what were the skills that I needed to brush up on, and like at what level did I want to be able to execute those skills. So for example, this class has clearly taught me I am not trying to like become a, a watercolor, professional or whatever. I'm not trying to become Bob Ross. That is not my aspirations. I used to love watching Bob Ross though. But what I do want to be able to do is I do want to be able to see something or read something or study something and then come up with a visual sort of rendition of it, and then be able to carry that out in a way that I think would work. That that when I do it, if somebody else saw it, they would see that picture too. So if I draw a dog as an example, if I draw a dog and somebody else saw the picture, they would say, "Oh, that's a cool looking dog." That it would still look like a dog. Sometimes I draw stuff down and my husband is like, wait. It reminds me of like when you have kids and they draw you a picture and they bring the picture over to you and you're like, "Oh, wow, that's a really great plant," or something like that. And they're like, "It's not a plant, it's a," like, I don't want that to happen. I want it so that when somebody sees it, they know what it is. And um, I'm not aiming for realism necessarily. I'm okay with sort of an illustrated look. Not necessarily, I guess, not like cartoony per se, but I'm okay with an illustrated look. And I'm saying that because I think it's important to understand like what your aspirations are. Let's say, for example, you're working on your quilting and you want to get better at it. If you say, my goal for my quilting is that I want to be able to put my quilt in a show. I want to do show quilts. I want to be able to place. Well then, oh, ouch. I would say, okay, my plan for you for executing that would be totally different, ouch, from somebody like me, where I want it to look nice. I want it to be functional. I want it to be able to wash and not fall apart. But my biggest concern is that I enjoy the process. And that when it's time for me to give it to somebody because I enjoyed the process, that the person that gets it, they really do get a quilt that was made in love and with love towards whoever, wherever their for that blankets, their quilt's forever home is. And so the differences may be that, I'm okay with taking online classes or, working on my own through learning different skills or executing different patterns. But if I had aspirations of making quilts that placed, I would definitely take in-person classes. I would, because, it's about accuracy and different skill sets, like sewing Y seams and accurate cutting and things like that. And having someone or somebody that can help you build up those skills. And so knowing, ooh, hold on. Y'all, I'm literally rolling. Like I'm rolling right now. I'm positioning the pins. I'm just going round and round and round. Oh, back on it. I really should put a needle minder on here, and I always forget until I hear the needle hit the floor. Hold on. I'm going round and round until I get to this section. I'll show you. I'm trying to get to this section right here so I can put something else in this section So I'm just going round and round. And right now, like this section isn't done. If you see right now, I'm right in this area. I'm almost done. I'm literally almost done. So knowing what your goals are and also knowing your timeline for accomplishing that goal is so important, because it determines like what your next steps are. So I have a couple of places that I might need to go back over. Or not. I'll see. I'll show you. Okay. And so knowing what your goal is, what your timeline is so important. And that's why I kind of, like, I really think the popularity of doing a personal curriculum is such a cool concept. It's something that I feel like I've always done, and I've said that in other live sessions. I've always done that. But I think that's why it's so important. Like, you get to be in charge of what you consume. You get to be in charge of what you create. Like, as an example, like some of the things that I'm working on right now, I don't want to buy a whole bunch of stuff. I don't want to have to buy whole new supplies if I can help it. Now, there are some times when I do, but it's because I've allotted for that. And it makes it so that you get to create and have a great time and learn a new skill or connect with new people or do something you always wanted to do. For me, in this watercolor class and doing the drawing and working on the doodling, it's something that I wanted to do for a long time, and it's applicable in so many of my projects. It's so many. And so I am like rolling. I'm taking out pens. I can't imagine how somebody does this on a larger piece. Like, you would have to, well, I guess you would, you wouldn't change out, like, turn so fast, but man, eventually you would, wouldn't you? Hold on. This needle is falling. This thread is coming off of this needle. So I need to tie it off. I'm sorry, I can't talk and thread. Especially when I don't have enough light over here. I need to add a little light on this table. So anyways, that's what I think about the, building skills. And especially when you're in something like quilting, when there's so many different techniques, you could do applique, you can do English paper piecing, you can do foundation paper piecing, you can do, honestly, the list is endless. You may even want to do like doing projects that have smaller pieces or smaller piecing, which I don't know about that. I've done it. I'm doing it, but or the way I'm doing now on some projects, doing hand piecing and hand sewing, right? Like, you can just, there's so much you can do. And having a sense of accomplishment that doesn't come from other people, that doesn't come from somebody saying, oh, you did a good job. You get to tell yourself, like, I did that, period. And when you do it in a space like what we're doing here, if you're doing quilting, you also get the opportunity to watch how you grow over time. And I think that's probably the best of all, because you get to look back at pieces that you did when you were first starting, or think about the first time you worked on something using a pattern, or the first time you did something or made a project based on a video tutorial, or the first class you took. Like, you get to look back at all of that and really get to pat yourself on the back. But you know what's even bigger than that? Hold on, y'all. I'm literally pushing this thread through. There we go. I just popped that. Okay. You get to look back and see how you've done, and you get to realize that you put your mind to something and you did it. I think that is the biggest flex or win of all, because you know that you aspired to do something. Yeah, I just put all my little strings in there because so that they're not just creeping around the table. I just did it again. Oh, here it is. I need to thread another needle. That you realize that you wanted to do a thing and you went through the steps and you did it. And nobody can take that from you. That feeling alone is the reason why you should do something that like this. Not this particular quilt, but I mean like a personal curriculum. Pick something you want to get better at. Pick something that you want to grow at, or that you've always wanted to learn. Because, hold on, y'all. I'm really trying to thread this. I was going through my embroidery kits. Did I bring it over here? And realize how I had a threader in each one of those. And I'm like, I need to put one of those in here. I'm just not ready to do it yet. But realizing that you can do hard things and that you can stick to something, that you can keep showing up, that you don't have to wait for somebody else to help you learn the things that you want to learn. That you can have fun doing something. And all of that just is like a breeding ground for you building your confidence in yourself. I'm hiding this tail. I just did this and I'm wondering if it's time to put one more piece. Because I think this is going to be one of the last pieces. Okay, I think the center part can probably have, well, I don't need to do it right now. I think I got a little bit longer. I think I can finish this round before I put the final piece or two in this middle section. I thought it was going to be another yellow, but I already put another yellow. So I have the 3 yellows that I plan to add. And I literally am winding down. So with that said, one thing I do want to say about that. When you realize that you're capable of showing up, that you are capable of doing hard things, that you are capable of being resourceful and finding the help that you need and finding the tutorials that you need and adding those skills, there is nothing, absolutely nothing that you cannot do. It may take you time. It may take you finding new resources or whatever, but that ability is transferable to anything else that you want to learn, to anything else that you want to master. And that is the hidden gem in all of this. It's the confidence that you build in yourself and how you can take that and apply it anywhere. I'll give a very, very practical example, personal example. I taught myself to crochet when I was a kid. My mother used to crochet. She didn't crochet all the time, but every once in a while, and I don't know what would bring it on, every once in a while she would crochet a blanket or something like that. She never did like hats or scarves. It was usually big projects like a throw or something. At least that's what I remember because I was a kid. And she used to do it, and I used to love watching her do it. But she never like sat down and said, you know, Dana, this is how you crochet. Oh, wait, dude, is this time? Hold on. I'm gonna get past this section. So I used to watch her, and I used to think, I want to learn how to do that. And so I would just sit and I would watch her. And I remember watching her from a distance. Who knows? Maybe she did say, Dana, this is how you do this, that, and the other, or correct my form. But I do remember a lot of times when I wanted to learn stuff, people wouldn't necessarily like teach me how to do it because they didn't know how to teach me how to do it because I'm left-handed. And so that was always like a big hiccup. And back then, books did not have left and right-handed instructions, which is why if you ever see me do any of this like in person and you see my hands, I do it like a right-handed person would do for the most part, give or take. Sometimes especially when it's something where I taught myself fully how to do it, I'll do it with both hands based on what I'm doing or what direction I'm coming from. And it's just the mixture between having a formal instruction versus teaching myself. So anyways, I wanted to do it. And once I decided I wanted to do it and I would watch her, first I started doing cross stitch. Now, cross stitch had nothing to do with crochet, but I remember back then you really did not have a lot of instructional books, or at least that I knew about, but there were kits for cross stitch. There were cross stitch kits, and I also used to love to get the, I don't remember what they're called, but the ones that they were like a rug, and it was like a plastic thing, and you could buy, and they used to have like a little, like it looked like a tube, and it would be pieces of yarn, a little strips of yarn that were like about this big, and you would loop the yarn piece around the sort of wire frame, and you would make like a rug or a pillow case top or something like that. So I first started doing those types of kits. I would save my money, and anytime I made money from babysitting or doing extra chores or got money for my birthday, I would save the money, and I would go buy those kits, and I would just learn how to use the kit. Then once I started doing that and started teaching myself how to do that, I realized that I knew I could follow the instructions in the kit to make the project. So then what I started doing was looking for kits to learn how to crochet. Now this is when, there we go, they started having the like teach yourself to crochet, teach yourself to knit kits. And so I bought one of those kits. This is so good. It's like, I think it's like cinnamon or something. I get one of those variety packs where it's like a bunch of different flavored coffees in one. So almost every time I get a cup of coffee, it's a different flavor. Well, a different flavor than the last time I had a cup. So anyways, I started doing the kits. And once I started doing the kits, I would do something small because the kits were always for something small, like a scarf. Almost all of them were a scarf. I think for a while they even just had where essentially you were doing a swatch. And that's what I did for a long time, until I realized to do more, I had to learn how to read patterns. And that, again, became another thing to learn. And that's when I started looking for crochet books at the library or at the like thrift stores or discount stores and pre-buying online and pre-Amazon. Okay, I think I'm ready to put the middle piece on here. Okay. I think I'm going to put a light color because this is so dark, but not a blue. If I can get it so that a lot of this star shows, I'm going to aim to just get a star. So I started looking for books. And when I'm going to actually go past this little cowboy and then come back around just in case I can fit the whole thing. Even though I really just want the star. Kind of like fussy cutting. I mean, I guess technically it is. And then I'm going to save this because this will be good for me to put in that fabric for my fabric tabs. Just toss it in there. And once I started looking for books and looking for, I think I can fit it in here. Okay, let me get my glue stick. It's gonna get kind of cut off, but so I started looking for books and kits, and once I'm gonna do the glue stick so I can really get the piece ready to sew it down. I started learning, and then I looked for books and started learning how to read patterns, because I was tired of doing like little swatches or just doing that. And once I started doing that, that's when I realized that, oh, wait, I need to learn more stitches, right? So see how this sort of starts like growing. And because I was successful in teaching myself how to do the other things, I just knew that even if it was hard, it was only a matter of time before I'd get it. Y'all, I literally just cut off the C. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it because it was, I couldn't help it because I didn't have enough fabric on that side. Oh well. And so once I did that, again, all of this is happening and I'm a kid. I'm probably 13. And then I just was crocheting for years. I just crocheted for years. And then later, as an adult, well, no. I had taught myself how to do that. And then what happened was I wanted to learn how to knit. But the problem was I didn't have anybody in person to watch do it. I didn't know anybody in person who knew how to knit. And so that became this thing where it was like a hole in my process that that was a big part. First, I would watch, and then I could kind of practice. And then when I got a book, I could connect in my mind the connection between what I saw and what I'm reading on the page or in the picture, because that's what I did really in the beginning. I was just looking at the pictures. And it became me then learning how to do it. Well, when I didn't have anybody to watch, that sort of messed with my flow because I didn't know anybody. So I kept trying and I kept trying. And honestly, I felt like I just kept failing because I just couldn't. When you knit, the problem is you're going from using one, y'all, I'm adding this on here right now. You're going from using one tool. Where did my pens go? You go from using a hook to using needles, and you're going from using one tool to two simultaneously. And all of the books were teaching it for a right-handed person. And I'm trying to figure out how to use both and how to use both of my hands. And y'all, basically, I just eventually, again, I'm in my early teens, I quit. Because I can't see it. I can't see it to figure out how to do it. And then, so I still wanted to, I go back to crochet. I mean, I never stopped crochet. I still crochet now. I can literally crochet in my sleep. So what I did instead was I began to look for more challenging patterns to do, to learn how to read patterns better. And I just started picking up more advanced techniques when it came to crochet. But I realized, even like now, I don't like the advanced stuff. It takes out the ease of the just doing it. I don't like having to follow a pattern for every single thing and do too much counting and all of that. I just don't like it. It stops being fun to me when I have to do all that. So that's why anytime I've done more complicated patterns, they didn't last. Or I only did it one time for that reason. And so all of this changes when I'm an adult and I go and I join our, we had a prayer shawl ministry at our church. I joined the prayer shawl ministry, and there is a woman there that knits. And in our prayer shawl ministry, I would teach people how to crochet if they needed to learn. And we would have people that if they had a skill, they would teach others, and we would teach each other, and we would just, that's how we did. Well, the woman, she knew how to knit, but she didn't know how to teach me how to knit. But I could watch her. And y'all, I was so happy because I was like, I can figure this out. So once I sat and watched her for a while, because it was the whole thing of like figuring out. I'm going to show y'all how I got that last piece on here as soon as I get it like down really good. I watched her, and once I watched her, y'all, that last piece is on there. See the star? I watched her, and once I watched her, I was like, I can figure this out. I know I can. So then that's when I was able to go and look for a book. And by this time, I probably was in my, it's probably in my 20s and probably my late 20s. By then, stuff has changed. There's books for everything, You could go into Joann's or Hobby Lobby or Michael's, even Walmart. And they started having those. That's when they started having those kits where you get the book, you got the needles, you got the, they always had all this other stuff that you didn't need as much. The stitch counter, the something else. And they usually gave you a ball of, not even a skein of yarn, like a ball of yarn. And I got the kit. And that's when I started. Now listen, all of this, me telling this long story, is to show how the moment you do it once and you succeed at it, your brain is like, I've done this before. I can do this, Hold on, something's in the way. And the reality is your brain is right. You figured it out once, you can figure it out again. And I did. Then I taught myself how to knit. Fast forward probably 5 years or something like that. And I realized I taught myself to crochet. I taught myself how to knit. Can I teach myself how to quilt? By this time, you have YouTube. And I'd also been able to use YouTube to learn like more advanced stuff for knitting. Really a lot with the knitting was doing things like advanced techniques like switching colors, knitting in the round, like all of that I was able to learn from YouTube. And to me, those were hard skills. And I learned how to do it on YouTube. So then I wonder if I can teach myself how to quilt, because I always wanted to quilt. And again, I didn't know anybody in real life that quilted. Now, what I think is funny is later, what time is it? How are we doing on time? Okay, I'm almost done. I'm almost done like finishing this. So this will be, once I finish this, we'll be done. Later, one of my aunts, when she saw my quilts, she was like, oh, she told me my grandmother was a quilter. I didn't even know that. I didn't even remember that. And I spent a lot of time with my grandma, but it makes sense. Like, because when I spent time with my grandmother, it was usually in the summertime, and she had a bunch of kids there because she kept us in the summertime when school was out. So, I mean, she probably had no time. I knew she sewed. She sewed a lot. She had a sewing machine that was right in her bedroom. And so she sewed a lot. I remembered that part, but I didn't remember that she made quilts. And so all of this is to say that every one of those sort of encounters, ouch, especially with crafting, it became another sort of like notch, you know, in my in my process of realizing that I can do this. Now, you know, realizing what some of those limitations could be, of like realizing like, okay, it helps me go faster if I can see it in person, or if I can just watch. That became the workaround for people trying to teach me and them not being able to explain it with me being left-handed. But I made up for that with once I was able to watch them in person. So they didn't have to, it didn't matter that they didn't know how to teach a left-handed person if I could watch them and sort of translate it. And I remember when I was learning how to knit, again, an advancement in technology was that she really didn't know how to teach me or whatever. But by this time, we had cell phones, and I could record a video of her doing it and watch the video and help myself when it came to practicing. Oh, I think I'm gonna have to thread one more needle. Y'all, I literally am in the middle and I have just a little bit more to go. Oh wait, no, I think I can make this last needle work. I hope so. Hold on. And so this all leads to me learning how to knit, me learning how to crochet, me learning how to knit, and then I saw Jenny Doan. And at first, I used to watch Miss Jenny every Friday morning. I would watch her because typically, I'm on the last round. Typically, I make my schedule so that Fridays, for as long as I can remember, has been the morning when I have a slow morning. We started it when the kids were, when we were homeschooling, and that would be the day my husband would take over on their lessons so that I could write. When they were really little, because they would still want to ask me questions, I would leave the house and go and work at a coffee shop and write. And once they got older and everyone was used to that, this is what we do, I didn't have to worry about it anymore. I could just have a slow morning. I could drink my coffee. Y'all, I think that's one of my last straight pens that's in this project. I think that was the last one. Yes, it's the last one. I'm almost done. So I would sit and I would have my Friday morning, my first cup of coffee. And I would have that first cup of coffee with Miss Jenny. And I would watch her, whatever tutorial she had. And it is so funny because eventually I remember if I had a long week, my husband was like, basically, go on in there and, you know, watch Miss Jenny, or what, you know, go in there and enjoy your quilting video, your quilting video. And I did this until I think I worked on one project like that, and I realized, I need to see this in person. And it turned into me, again, learning how to quilt. Y'all, I think, maybe less than, I probably have like 5 stitches left. Oh my gosh, I'm almost done. I don't know if this string is going to make it. I hope it does. Oh. Hold on. I'm done. I'm done. And I just got this little bitty piece. I want to put maybe 2 more stitches right in this middle, kind of stacking them to sort of lock this in place, and then tie this off and knot it off. I'm just going to do them really tiny. You know what? I'm going to have to stab stitch this because I can't. I'm going to try to tug it just a little bit. I'll show you. I try my best not to do it like this, but I'm going to do this. I don't have anywhere to hide it, so I'm going to just do it on the back and see. I'll be able to watch it and see if in the future if it's an issue or not. I'll show you the front and the back. I have a couple of places where I still may need to go back and reinforce some of the edges of the fabrics. I'm trying to do this super small so you can't really tell it's a knot, hopefully. Hold on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a knot. How am I going to do this? I'm going to do a quilter's knot and then try to run this as long as I can through the batting. Hold on. You know what? This is not going to work because this is too short. Hold on. Yeah, this knot is so tiny. It's probably not going to do anything, but I'm going to just do it anyway. And just make sure you don't come up. Just running it. And I popped it. There we go. All right, let me show you what I got. This middle got super bunchy. So it got a little bunchy in the middle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to iron it and see if that'll help. Like press it and just lay it flat, but it feels good. It has movement. All the things are down. And I'm done with it. Alrighty. So with that said, that is it for this week. If you have any other comments, questions, definitely let me know. Don't forget to thumbs up this video, subscribe to my channel. We will be back next week. And I don't know, I'm going to start something new. Maybe embroidery since I got my kit in. But yeah, I'll see you all next week. Enjoy the rest of your week. I hope that you had a fantastic day. Take care and goodbye.